We are not even a full 2 weeks in yet, but it has been complete and utter chaos ever since Donald Trump was sworn in as the 47th president. And I think it's really starting to look a bit more like a hostile takeover rather than a peaceful transfer of power between one administration to the other. And I think on some level, many of us kind of expected this, especially with Project 2025 lingering in the background. They really kind of gave us a blueprint for what they were going to try to do. And now, indeed, they are trying to consolidate as much power as possible into the executive branch so Donald Trump can wield that power like the wannabe authoritarian that he is. They have not been shy about this at all. And now with their latest stunt, offering this insane buyout to many of our federal employees, it's really starting to look like they are just trying to wipe out as much federal workforce as possible so they could just replace them with Trump loyalists. This would be furthering the Project 2025 ambitions, where all of the civil servants need to be loyal to Donald Trump. So let's go ahead and take a look at what this offer is really quick, and then we will discuss. And if you do appreciate the work I do here, please do remember to subscribe.
The offer came in an email with the subject line, "Fork in the Road." It started by summing up the major changes that the Trump administration is bringing to the federal workforce, including an end to telework and a downsizing of agencies. Then it laid out a choice for federal workers. Those who want to resign can offer their resignation before February 6th, be put on administrative leave, and keep their full pay and benefits through the end of September. Those who want to stay were told, quote, "We cannot give you full assurance regarding the certainty of your position." The email was sent to most of the civilian workforce. Some exceptions include post office employees and people doing immigration enforcement and national security.
So let me get this straight. You can decide to tender your resignation now, and we'll give you a sweetheart deal. We'll give you your full pay, your full benefits, and we'll pay you all the way through September, a full 7 months. Otherwise, you can choose to stay in your job, but we are not going to guarantee that your job is actually going to be there. Oh, and by the way, you only have about a week to decide. I find it absolutely disgraceful that federal employees are being treated like this. This is what happens when you elect a guy who bases his whole worldview off of this deep state conspiracy. They are trying to root as many people out as possible so they can be replaced with Trump loyalists. And they're giving them this crazy ultimatum. And does anybody for 1 second believe that Donald Trump would actually follow through on a deal like this? And he does not even have the power to do it. Since when is it okay for a president to just pay all these employees for 7 months when they're not doing any work? It just all does not make any sense, but it is a clear effort to try to get as many federal workers to leave as humanly possible. And so I wanted to show you the actual email that they sent out to these people, because basically the ultimatum is this. You commit to the new Trump administration, you need to be loyal to the Trump administration, otherwise you can take our buyout offer. So I wanted to go over these 4 pillars of the new Trump administration because it all just gets a little bit weird. Let's go ahead and take a look. It says the reformed federal workforce will be built around 4 pillars, and the 4 pillars are return to office. The substantial majority of federal employees who have been working remotely since COVID will be required to return to their physical offices 5 days a week. I just find this weird. This new administration has an obsession with people working in the office, even though it seems like it would make more sense to me if you wanted a more efficient government that you would allow people to work from home, because then you wouldn't have to worry about building rental space or running electricity at those buildings. I don't know. It just seems counterintuitive to me, but I think it's just a way to control the administration from the top down. I think that is what this is all about. Then it goes on to say performance culture. Our performance standards will be updated to reward and promote those that exceed expectations. And I would bet that those expectations are who can be the most loyal to Donald Trump. Then they've got the more streamlined and flexible workforce. This is where it's kind of weird, okay? The majority of federal agencies are likely to be downsized through restructurings, realignments, and reductions in force. These actions are likely to include the use of furloughs and the reclassification of at-will status for a substantial number of federal employees. So basically what they're saying is that if you do choose to say, we might just get rid of you anyway, because we are going to be restructuring, we are going to do realignments, and we are definitely doing reductions in force. It is just a real nasty ultimatum to give these people, and I find it very disrespectful to treat these civil servants like this. The fourth pillar is enhanced standards of conduct. The federal workforce should be comprised of employees who are reliable, loyal, trustworthy, and who strive for excellence in their daily work. And I would imagine that word loyal is probably doing a lot of heavy lifting. It then goes on to say that employees who engage in unlawful behavior or other misconduct will be prioritized for appropriate investigation and discipline, including termination. So let me get this straight. The head of the administration, Donald Trump, he's been convicted of 34 different felonies, and then you're asking the entire workforce to play by a different set of rules. Gotcha. I think these people are just pathetic. And as it stated before, at this time, we cannot give you full assurance regarding the certainty of your position or agency. Basically saying, we don't know if your job is actually going to be here if you do decide to stay. And then, so you can reply to this email with the word resign, and then everything is just going to fall into place. You get this sweetheart deal, you get your benefits and your pay for 7 months. And yeah, it's supposed to be real simple, guys. But then if you look at the resignation letter that is actually sent on their behalf, you can see, I am certain of my decision to resign, and my choice to resign is fully voluntary. So you're basically putting a gun to these people's head, saying, I don't know if your job's going to be here, but if you do take this offer, then we will follow through on that offer, but you need to make sure that your choice is voluntary. I don't know. I just think it's gross. It's an ultimatum that these people shouldn't be put in. And like I said before, these people are trying to serve the American people. They are supposed to be non-political positions. And for the Trump administration to just try to wipe as many of these people out as possible, I find grotesque. It says, accordingly, I will assist my employing agency with completing reasonable and customary tasks and processes to facilitate my departure. So, what does that mean? If I do decide to tender my resignation, are you just going to be calling me back into the office so I can train my replacement? Because that's kind of what it sounds like to me. I have a lot of respect and admiration for the people who work in the federal government. I think there's a lot of kind and compassionate people, and they're just trying to do the right thing. And so for a new president to come into office and just try to root these people out like they are nefarious actors, I have a huge, huge problem with. And to offer this sweetheart deal by somebody like Donald Trump, I mean, how are these people supposed to trust that he is going to follow through on this deal, especially when it seems like he does not have the authority to make this type of offer? Since when is it okay for the president to pay people for months on end to do no work? And how is that creating an efficient government? It all just makes no sense. And Tim Kaine does a real good job of pointing out how flimsy this deal actually is.
And they received an email that said, from the administration, if you tender your resignation by next Friday, we will guarantee you payment through the end of September, whether or not you show up for work. So tender your resignation, and then, boy, it's just going to be a gravy train. You're just going to get paid for 7 months without working. The president has no authority to make that offer. There's no budget line item to pay people who are not showing up for work. This is a guy who made this promise to contractors again and again and again when he was a private business guy. Oh, come work for me on my casino. Come work for me on a hotel. We're going to do a handshake. We're going to do a contract. The contractor does the work, and then finds out they get stiffed. So my message to federal employees who receive this is, yeah, the president has tried to terrorize you for about a week and then gives you a little sweetheart offer. If you resign in the next week, we're just going to pay you for doing nothing for the next 7 months. Don't be fooled. He's tricked hundreds of people with that offer. If you accept that offer and resign, he'll stiff you just like he stiffed the contractors. He doesn't have any authority to do this. Do not be fooled by this guy. You were here before he was here, and you'll be here after he was here. Show up for work, be diligent, serve Americans every day, make their life better, answer their phone call, give them an answer, track down their constituent call. Don't be fooled by a fake offer that because he's terrorized you in the last week, it would be easy to just resign now and get a check for 7 months, because I can tell you that promise is worth nothing.
So I think something Tim Kaine said there was just spot on. The Trump administration, for the past week and a half or so, has been terrorizing these federal workers. I think this is a deliberate strategy to try to get as many of them to walk as they possibly can. I mean, they've done things like the federal funding freeze, which put all agencies into complete chaos. So I think this is a deliberate strategy to treat these people very poorly and then give them this sweetheart deal that they probably won't follow through on in hopes that some of these people will take the deal. And I'm just hoping that these federal employees do see through Trump's nonsense here, and I hope that they can weather the storm, because it's these types of people that make our institutions strong. And I know it's probably super tempting and super reasonable to think that just taking the offer and getting the hell out of Dodge might be a comforting thing to do. I'm not exactly sure what decision I would make if I were in their position, but I do hope that we have some patriotic Americans in there that are able to weather the storm, because it's people like them we will need once Trump is dead and gone. It is people like these federal workers who keep our institutions intact and strengthen them. And it's, like I said, it's a damn shame that we have a president of the United States who doesn't understand how the government works, who doesn't understand what these federal employees do, why they show up to work every day. And so he is just treating them with complete and utter contempt. I find it absolutely disgraceful. So I hope that these federal employees do not take this buyout offer. I don't think Donald Trump can be trusted, not one bit. I do not think he will follow through on this buyout offer, because as Tim Kaine said there, he has been caught over and over and over again getting people to do work for him, and then he just stiffs them on the back end. And I have a lot of confidence that that is what would go down for the people who accept this offer. So I will leave it there for now. If you guys got anything out of this video, please do remember to smash that like button and subscribe. Maybe share with a friend or two. I'd very much appreciate that. We have to build something here on the left that can adequately push back against this disgusting Trump administration and their authoritarian tendencies. So if you do appreciate the work I do here, please do remember to subscribe. If you want to see how Donald Trump is waging an all-out war on science, please do watch that video on the screen now. Otherwise, I'll see you guys on the next one.